The hot topic at the minute has been something called tariffs. And essentially, tariffs is a tax on imports. The goal of tariffs is to, at its core, protect the domestic economy, which is what the goal of the US tariffs has been supposedly be. And this is this idea behind protectionism, which is where you protect the domestic industries, the workers, the jobs in your country by blocking imports, so other countries' goods coming into your country. This has been the hot topic at the recent time, especially with the Liberation Day ordeal that happened with Trump in the US and all the tariffs he put on the global markets. The problem is, over the last 20 years, the world has been moving towards a more globalized perspective. There has been some protectionism since Trump came in over the last couple of years, but now we've never seen anything quite so severe as what has happened with the tariffs that he's put on both on Chinese goods, all other UK goods, and EU goods, and even he's put common tariffs on all goods. So this has a lot of effects. It has a lot of effect on the American people, and it has an effect on us as well. Well, myself in the UK, as well as all other countries. All other countries. So today I'm going to be quickly going through the consequences of this mass tariff protectionism scheme that America is taking place at the minute. And it will affect you, it will affect me, and it will affect your finances, it will affect the price of goods, it will affect the economic market, it will affect everything. And it already has. So, one of the big things we've seen already since the huge tariffs have been put in is a crash in the stock market. Now, there's been a lot of uncertainty in the last couple of weeks in the stock market, but this has been a driving factor for the stock market falling the most it ever has, excluding 2020 before 2020, 2022. So in the last 5 years, half a decade, we've never seen such a drastic fall in the stock market. I think it's lost trillions. I mean, you go onto any investment site, any stocks and shares, you will see red. You will just see red everywhere. What is happening, particularly in the US? Trump has put a 10% tariff on all imports effective from April 5th. That means any goods being imported coming into the US will be taxed 10%, essentially meaning that their price will be 10% more expensive, which the producers will pay because they're the ones importing it, especially the goods, but it passes on to consumers. The basic economic theory: producers pay it and then they pass it on to consumers via higher prices, and then effectively you and me, we pay the price for the tariff. The goal is to reduce the reliancy on other goods in, for example, China. Like the US wants to reduce the goods of China coming in and essentially encourage US production. So the idea is protecting infant industries. This is the main economic argument behind tariffs, where small to medium-sized firms and producers are unable to compete with global multinational corporations from other countries such as China, who have huge production and they can benefit from a lot of economies of scale, bring down the price, and essentially benefit you as the consumer with a cheaper price. The problem is, this idea behind protectionism is countries don't like the fact that they rely on other countries. So Trump and America doesn't like the fact that they rely on other major trading partners for their goods. And so it's almost like creating this world where you are completely reliant on yourself and you don't need any other countries. The problem is, this is extremely difficult to create because globalization has been happening over the last 20 years, even longer than that, actually. And now they're trying to reverse it through protectionism. It's going to take at least a couple 5 to 10 year decades, as economics theory suggests. Right, so what is the consequence short term? The consequence is higher prices for you and me. As I was saying, US goods, US manufacturers won't be able to compete with these multinational corporations. So what happens? The prices for them, since they can't produce it as cheaply, will be quite high. And that means the American people will receive higher goods. But what often happens is imports will still come in because the reliance is so strong, you can't actually stop relying almost. It takes years. And so what happens? The prices just come in and they're super expensive. And that hits you, that hits your pocket, that hits the available money that you have to spend because you're spending more on goods. So a couple of the other tariffs that went up, we had Chinese goods, we had 34% in addition to existing tariffs. That is huge. That is huge. The amount of money you'll pay on top of that is 34% higher than it was previously. And previously, there was already tariffs on this. So this is big money that's going to be affecting you. Now, China they're one of the biggest, if not the biggest, global trading partner. They produce huge amount of goods, mass supply. So you're going to get hit. And we're going to feel it in the UK as well because Chinese goods going into the US is interlinked. It's all interlinked, so we're going to get hit as well. And you see this in the markets. You see the FTSE today is down for like 4%, and it's been down for a couple of days now. And you see S&P down huge amounts, the biggest drop we've ever seen, around double digits now. We're in the 10-12% decrease in the last couple of weeks even. So it's pretty severe. Now, what is probably the biggest consequence of tariff? The biggest consequence is something called retaliation. The idea that if I'm going to put a tariff on you and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to make your goods more expensive to come into my country. So let's say let's say you're China, I'm US, and I say, I'm going to increase the price of your goods essentially by taxing them as they come in the country. What are you going to do? You're not going to be happy with this. So you're going to put tariffs on me. The biggest issue with tariffs is retaliation. And this retaliation creates a global trade war. It will create a global trade war, and we've seen it already in the news. Check the news. You see China is putting retaliation tariffs on US goods. What's that going to mean? It means that America's trade, their exports, will become less competitive. So they'll be able to export less into China because Chinese consumers and producers will not want American goods since they're more expensive because of the tariff. And essentially what happens is America puts their tariff up, China puts their tariff up. And then because China's put their tariff up, the EU puts their tariff off. Southeast Asia, Africa. And you just get this rapid rise of tariffs on everyone. What happens? There's a net loss. All the benefits that were the benefits of infant industries, boosting domestic competitiveness, is just completely eroded when you have retaliation. And when you have it at such a huge scale, which is what we're likely going to see in the next couple of weeks, months, years, depending on if this tariff plan goes through, which it probably will, but you never know Trump's ideas, then we're going to see overall prices for everyone to rise. And this is going to hit your living standards. It's going to hit your ability to pay for your goods, for your necessities, and for what was a revolutionary globalization over many years. You can't just flip and reverse that and get the benefits of producing yourself, because many countries won't have a competitive advantage, meaning they won't be able to produce the goods as cheap as another country, no matter what, no matter how many tariffs you put up, realistically. And so everyone loses. Everyone loses. Now, is this just a plan from Trump to rock up global trade markets? Maybe. Maybe he's just threatening this, and so he's going to pull back when he sees the effect on living standards. But you already see it. You already see it in the stock market, huge decreases in that. I mean, companies are losing trillions. Your money is losing its value. Even the arguments for the tariff, like the trade deficit, reducing the trade deficit, because you're importing less because of a tariff. Even those arguments, they're not going to, like, a trade deficit is not going to be rectified in the short term because we rely, in US, you rely on imports. And so in the short term, it's going to take a while for that trade to equal out, but you're going to feel the effects of the higher prices. You're going to get hit hard with cost of living. So there's the explanation on the current news. Hopefully this was helpful. And yeah, subscribe for more economics and finance content. Good stuff. Take care. Bye.